Hello, welcome to a new video. Today is another video in my series of calling myself out. So if you watched my video that went up last week or a couple of weeks back, I'm not sure when this one's going up yet, but if you watched the video that went up in like mid-January, which was series I have started and need to finish or at least catch up on, this is the other side of that. It is series I own at least the first book, but need to start. Now I know I should be focusing on finishing books before I start thinking about starting new series. However, I would like to get some of these books read this year. So I kind of want to like get through some of my series, both started and not started. But these are all of the books. There's not as many on here as there was on the other video, because it was like 90 series. There's only like, there's less than 40 series, which is still a lot, I know, but just bear with me. So we're just going to go through them and talk about them. So first up, we have the Shattered Sea series by Jo Abercrombie. So the first book is Half King, or Half a King, sorry. I have only got book one, but this is a trilogy, I believe. Yeah, this is a trilogy. I've only got the first one, but I put it on my wish list ages ago and Hattie got it for me. And then I just haven't got to it, but I want to, because I hear very good things about Jo Abercrombie's books, and I've heard very good things about this one in particular. So that one. Next, we have the A Vine Mess series by Tessa Bailey. The first book is Secretly Yours. I got this one not long after I finished Hook, Line and Sinker, because I love that duology, and I got this and then I DNF'd Fix Her Up, but I do think Fix Her Up was a product of time, because that came out a good few years back and I just don't think it was for me. But her newer books, I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed the other two more recent books. But this is a duology, I believe, and the second book is Unfortunately Yours, but I don't have that yet because I'm going to wait and see if I like this one first, just to be on the safe side. Next we have, we're taking it back a few years. It is the Modern Fairy Tales series by Holly Black. I have these, I don't know if these were the original covers, but I managed to get, I think, the second and third book in charity shops, and then I got the first book on eBay for like a couple of quid in this cover, which I was really shocked at. But I've got all three books, so I want to read at least the first one this year. So it is Tithe, Valiant and Ironside. And then still on Holly Black, we have the Curse Workers series, which is White Cat, Red Glove and Black Heart. This one I only have the first book. So if I do really enjoy this, which I think I will because it's Holly Black. So if I do enjoy this, I will then buy the other two books. But for now, I'm going to stick with the first one. But I think this was a present. But I've not got the note. So I don't know if it was a present off my Amazon wishlist or if a friend just got it for me. I'm not sure. Next up is the Pandava series by Roshani Chokshi. So it's the Arusha series. I have Arusha in the End of Time, but I do not have the other. I think there's another 4 books after this. I don't have the others. This again was a present, and the text is actually fading, and actually it's from someone I don't talk to anymore, so this is old. Next is the Bone Witch series by Rin Chebeko. I've heard a lot of good things about this, so I think this was a gift, but again, the gift note isn't in there, so I don't know what happened with these. I only have the first one in this trilogy because it's an author I've never read from before, so I want to see what I think of this one before I then decide to buy the other two or not. See, I am getting better at not buying whole series. But I've heard good things about this, so yeah. Next is one that I will be reading the first book in the series this year, and it is the Luminaries by Susan Dennard. I've got the stunning Hunting Moon is there. I've got the stunning Illumicrate editions, but this was very kindly picked for me this was picked for me by one of my friends on my 12 books for 2024. So I will definitely be reading it at some point this year. Next up is the Wraith King series by Grace Draven. So the first book is Radiance. Now, I saw this. This was actually a birthday present from Tori, but I saw this book on Mel's wish list, and I got it for her birthday, and then liked the sound of it, so added it to my own wish list. But this is a 5-book series, I believe. I think it's self-published. It looks self-published. Yeah, it's self-published. But I'm looking forward to this because it does sound right up my street. Next is the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace. This is a newer addition to my shelves. I bought Icebreaker. If you watch my December haul, I bought it in the works for like £5. I've heard so many good things about Icebreaker and Wildfire, and I've heard they are spicy as hell. So it's right up my street. So I'm excited to start this series. Next up is the Kingdom of Runes series by Audrey Gray. So the first book is Oathtaker. I think this is a 4-book series? This is a 5-book series. I only have the first one. This was another self-published one. Oh, I like the first page of a chapter. This was another one that I saw on BookTube, added to my list. It's self-published, and it sounds great. So I want to give it a go. And then I fell out of fantasy for a bit, but I'm starting to get back into fantasy. So hopefully I can get through some of these fantasies that I got way back when. Next is the London Calling series by Alexis Hall. So I have the first book, Boyfriend Material. There is a second book, and there will be a third book. I don't have the second book yet because I do want to see what I think of this. Oh my god, I love that. I've just noticed the chapter headers is like the tube symbol. As a Londoner, that makes me happy. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to love this series, but I don't want to jinx it because I have read a book by Alexis Hall, and it was on my favourites books of last year because it was Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake. However, that was a bisexual woman. This is men. This is a male romance. So we'll see how the difference in the romance holds up because it's the same author. We shall see. Next up is the Glimmer Falls series by Sarah Hawley. So I have A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which, if that does not sound like my perfect romance, I don't know what does. But this is a 3-book series. This is a trilogy. I only have the first one. Obviously, if I love this, I will be getting the other 2. Next, we have the All of Us Villains series by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. I got this when it first came out, hence the hardback and the yellowed pages somehow. I really need to read this because the second book is out, and I want to, if I enjoy this, I want to have a matching hardback set. And very soon the hardback is no longer going to be available, so I need to crack on with reading this. Next, we have another self-published, and it's the Sovereign series by Josie Jaffrey. So I got The Gilded King. Does it say? Because I got it at Yalk one year. This was before COVID. I got this at Yalk 2018 or 2019. Josie's lovely. Oh, that's really small writing. It's fine. But I really want to read this series because there is another series that feeds into this series, and I really want to read them. But I only have the first book so far. Next up, we have the Extraordinary series by TJ Klune. I'm going to be honest, I have the first book in the trilogy. I don't know if I'm going to like this. TJ Klune seems to be kind of hit and miss for me. So I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I got it because it was on offer somewhere. And again, really, really small writing. That changes font as well by the looks of things. Anyway, I'm going to give it a go and we'll see. Next is the Serpent Gate series by A.K. Larkwood. So I have The Unspoken Name. This is a duology. I'm ashamed at this one because this was sent to me by the publisher. This came out in February 2020. I am going to try and prioritise this because I feel so bad. And I'm pretty sure I also got this on NetGalley. And I just keep not reading it. And I feel terrible. So I need to read it. And then if I enjoy it, somehow try and find book 2 in hardback to match, which is going to be near impossible. Next, we have the Fever Wake series by Victoria Lee. I have had this book for the longest time and I have not read it, but it sounds really good. It's a dystopian and I keep forgetting that it's a dystopian. So I'm going to try and put this to nearer the top of my list. I know I'm saying that about a lot of these books, but just roll with it. Next is the Middle Mist trilogy by Claire Legrand. So this is, I've got the first book, which is A Crown of Ivy and Glass. I got this in the works for like £2.50. I love Claire Legrand's writing. I have finally finished the Imperium trilogy last year. Absolutely loved all 3 books in that series. I loved Extasia. I still need to read Sawkill Girls and then I need to read this, but not necessarily in that order because I haven't read her stuff in release order. Other than the series, obviously. But yeah, this is also super floppy, which makes me happy. Next, we have the Firefly series. So this is, the first book is by James Lovegrove and I think the second book is too. But later on in the series, there's different authors. But I have the first 2 books and I will be reading this year because the first book is on my 12 books for 2024. I'm really excited. Who actually got me? So it was Andy that got me this. And then Jem put it on my 12 books for 2024, which are we shocked? No. So I am very excited to read this because I absolutely love the TV show and I'm going to be rewatching it this month. And when I say this month, I mean the month I'm filming this in, which is January. Next up, we have the Scarlet Vow series by Shelby Mahurin. I believe this is going to be a trilogy. Currently, there's only 2 books showing on Goodreads and the second book does not have a name yet. But this is a sequel series to the Serpent and Dove trilogy, which I finished last year and loved. My mum has already read Scarlet Vow because she got the audiobook and she really enjoyed it and she thinks I'm going to really enjoy it. So I'm probably going to read this soon. Next up, we have the Contender series by Tara Matharu. So I have the first 2 books, which is The Chosen and The Challenger. There is a third book called The Champion. I don't own that one yet because I haven't read the first 2. And I do think I'm going to enjoy this because I loved Tara Matharu's other series, which is the Summoner series. But I don't want to jinx it and go and buy the third book because I've already bought the first 2. But I do want to read this because it's like dinosaurs. Next up is the Mina and the Undead series by Amy McCord. I am so angry at myself that I haven't read this yet. This is being prioritised in February. I will be reading this in February. It's going on my TBR because I really want to read these. And Amy is one of the nicest people. And I feel really bad that I still have not read these books. And the third one is coming out this year. So I need to crack on. Next, we have the Gilded series by Marissa Meyer. So I have both books in this duology. Have I read either? No, I haven't. Of course I haven't because it's on this list. I really want... Oh, it's really small writing again. I really want to read this because it's a retelling and I love retellings. And I've read the first book in the Lunar Chronicles and I really like her writing style. So I think I will enjoy these. I've just got to get to it. But I do feel like I need to at least continue the Lunar Chronicles before I start her newer series. Next up is the Mask of Shadows series by Lindsay Miller. This I put on my wish list after hearing people talk about it and Jem got it for me. And it's really funny because in Jem's note, she says that she has it on her Kindle and has for a long time. I'm going to have to find out if she's read this yet, because if not, we can buddy read and get this one done. But this is a duology. This is a duology. It sounds really good. Like, the first line of the blurb is, Salat Leon is a thief and a good one at that. Like, I need to read it. I need to message Jem. Next up is the Left-Handed Booksellers of London series by Garth Nix. So I have the first book. I got the Litjoy version, which is absolutely stunning with this reversible dust jacket. Like, that's so creepy. I did actually pre-order the second book and had to return it because it's a full-size hardback, and absolutely not, I'm gonna have to try and get a US hardback to match. But I love Garth Nix. I have not finished the Old Kingdom series. However, I read the Keys to the Kingdom series multiple times as a kid and loved them. I'm like halfway through the Old Kingdom series and love it. So I need to read this one because this is newer stuff. And then on Garth Nix's older stuff, I have the entire Seventh Tower series. I have all 7 books. And these are tiny. So I need to read them because I think I'm going to love them. Next up is the Songs of Magic series by S.A. Patrick. So I have the first book, which is A Darkness of Dragons. This was a birthday present from Tracy. And I think this was a couple of years back. This is a trilogy. This is a trilogy. I don't know if all 3 books are out. I know for a fact the second book is out because I have seen it. It's a Vanishing of Griffins. But this sounds just so cute, and yeah, I need to read it. Next is one I am ashamed that I have not read yet because I have the matching duology from Fairy Loot, and it is the Bone Grace series by Catherine Purdy. I have both books in this, in Fairy Loot edition, and I have not read them. So I'm kind of making it a mission this year to read both of them because I don't know, from what I've heard about them, I don't know if I'm going to like them. So if I don't, that frees up some space. You get me? Next up is the Heir of Blood and Fire series by Cameo Renee. This was another one that was a present. This is the first book, which is Of the Blood. This is a 3 books. This is a trilogy. This was one that I saw talked about quite a lot, and I was like, I'm gonna add it to my wish list. It was bought for me and then I didn't read it. But again, like with one of the others I mentioned, it was around the time I started to fall out of love with fantasy not long after I got these. So now I'm getting back into fantasy. I'm going to read all the fantasy that I've acquired over the years. I've not been reading fantasy as much. I know I've still been reading a lot of fantasy, but still. Okay, the next 2 series, I get free passes on not starting these because it is the Kane Chronicles series and the Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan. There is an order to read the Rick Riordan books in. And technically, you don't need to, but I will be reading it in the order. And I'm currently on I've finished the first book of the Heroes of Olympus series. So I read Magnus Chase out of order, which stresses me out so much. But after Heroes of Olympus, I'll be reading Kane Chronicles and then I'll be moving on to Trials of Apollo. So it is fine. I get a free pass on this. Next up, we have 2 Brandy Sandy series. So first up, we have Mistborn Era 2. Now, these are tiny. And if you know how big the first Mistborn series is, those books are like chunky. And I sailed through them. I had no issues with them. And that was back before I started using a lot of audiobooks. So I read those things physically. However, I've heard these aren't as good. But I think it's because people go into them expecting it to be like the same vibe. But this is more of a Western vibe. And I'm hoping the fact I will be going into them knowing that I'll be okay and I'll enjoy it. But I've still been putting it off. Because again, I went out of love with fantasy. But then the other one is, I believe this is his YA fantasy series, which is the Reckoners series. I have book 1 only. This series, I have all 3. This one, I only have book 1. And if I enjoy book 1, then I'll get the rest. We are very near to the end here. The next one is the Dark Vision series by L.G. Smith. So this is one that it was actually a gift from Chloe, from Chloe Reads Books. Now, this is quite a beat up copy. And I absolutely love this because she's literally said, welcome to the beat up old copy club in her note. And I absolutely love this. This is a trilogy. So this isn't just one book. This is all 3 books in one bind up. I will be logging them on Goodreads as 3 separate books. Don't get me wrong. But I've heard many good things. I've heard this is one of L.J. Smith's better series. So I have high hopes because we all know how much I hated Secret Circle. We're not going to go there. But I have hopes for this and I trust Chloe. I trust Chloe. Next is a series that I don't know if I'm actually going to read because it's the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. Now, my reason for why I don't know if I'm going to read it is because I have the first 2 books And I did not actually realise this was a 22 book series. Now I know I'm currently reading The Ice Planet Barbarians, which is a 22 book series. However, that's Blue Alien smut. And the books are nowhere near this big. This is book 1. Book 1 is like 400 pages. Like, and I only have the first 2, and I don't know if I want to. We will see how I feel. At some point, I might pick this one up, fall in love with it, and be like, yes, I need the rest of the series. We shall see. Another one, like with the Bone Grace series, where I have the matching Fairy Loot editions, we have the World of the Narrows series by Adrienne Young. So I have Fable and I have Namesake. And I love these covers because I'm not a massive fan of the other covers, but I love these covers. Have I read either of them? No. And you know me by now. I like to read authors' works in the order they release them, even if they're not related. However, Spells for Forgetting, which is one of her newer ones, or her newest one, I think, is on my 12 books. So I need to read these soon. No pressure or anything. We are so close to the end. Next up, we have I don't actually know what the name of this series is. I haven't looked it up yet, but A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I'm not sure how many books there is in this series, but I have heard good and bad things about this. So I'm going in to this book when I read it with absolutely no high hopes or bad hopes. That's not a word, but you know what I mean. I'm just going to go into this very neutral and just get what I get and hopefully enjoy it. But if not, I'm not going to be too disappointed. But I am looking forward to reading it because it does sound really good. Next up, I believe this is the Dark Olympus series. I could be wrong, but it is Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I have the first book. I do not have any of the others, which I don't understand why I haven't just got the rest of the books, because we know I'm going to enjoy this. But I absolutely... My thing about this book is I was talking... I think it was in Chloe's Patreon Discord about when I got her Learn My Lesson, which is a Hades Katie Robert book, very smutty. And I was saying about how there's something about Hades books, I just love them, which is hilarious because Touch of Darkness is Hades and Persephone. And Kay, her note just says Hades kink unlocked. And also, I know it is the Dark Olympus series, it says it on the note. Also, I've had this book a year and a half, and I know that because it says congrats on your new job. And this was when I started at the job before my current job, which I was at for a year. I started that job in August 2022. So I've had this one since August 2022 and I haven't started it yet. So we're going to change that this year. And then the final book, I don't know how many books there is in this series. I think it's a trilogy, but it is Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Caine and Anne Aguirre. I got this because it's Rachel Caine. And it's sci-fi, I think. It looks like sci-fi. I'm pretty sure it's sci-fi. But I got it. And now I have even more reason to want to read it. Because obviously Rachel Caine is like... She's a nostalgic favourite author for me because of the Morganville Vampires. And obviously a year or so ago, she passed away. And I really want to read more of her work. I've read the first Stillhouse Lake book and I want to read this series. So I need to get to this. But I think the series is called Honor Among Thieves. Possibly. But yeah, I think it's a trilogy. So yeah. That was all of them. That was 30... No, that was 40 series. That was exactly 40 series. So I have 90 series that I have started and not finished or caught up on, and then 40 series that I own the first book at least and haven't started. So I'm gonna try and make a huge dent in those this year. I'm not gonna get to all of them, but I'm gonna certainly try. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you think I should prioritise any of these. There are some that obviously I can't because they are on my 12 books for 2024, but I think there's only 2 or 3. I can't remember. But let me know if you think I should prioritise any in particular. I am going to be planning my February TBR later today or tomorrow. So I'm going to try and get a few of these, like the romances mainly because February, onto that. So we shall see. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.